Today, we are going to talk about 20 ways you could be more assertive. It's Frame Friday, baby. We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's going on, guys? It is Frame Friday. I am so grateful the week is over. It's been a whirlwind, man. So much going on. I had so much going on this week. I decided to make Frame Friday relatively easy for myself. And I just came up with a list of 20 ways we could be more assertive in our communication. Other than that, I'm just going to wing it today, guys. I'm just going to wing it today. But I'll tell you what. Oh, look at this. We got guys in Beard Club spouting off, and I haven't closed down like all my little windows because I'm trying to get started this morning. Okay, here. You hear that bing that popped up? That's all day long because Beard Club is super active and the guys are always like talking in there. Anyway, before we get into it, guys, let's go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit those notifications. Right, I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And as I announced on Wednesday's show, Mondays are going to be Mating Mondays. Wednesday's going to be Woo Woo Wednesdays, and then Friday's going to be Frame Fridays. My clips from Woo Woo Wednesday are going around, and they're pissing off a lot of people, which is like, why is it pissing you off? I'm telling you good news. I'm bringing you the good news of the gospel, and they're like, you're reading from the NIV. I'm like, oh God, okay, that's what your criticism is. Okay, all right. We were chatting about this at Beer Club last night, but yeah, I like to quote. If I'm going to make a Bible quote, right? I'm not even Christian, right? But if I'm going to make a Bible quote, I like to use the NIV because it's in modern English. That's the only reason why I use it, right? But yeah, some people are like the King James version's the only real version. It's like, bro, do some research, man. Anyway, we'll get into that on a Woo Woo Wednesday. We'll probably get into it on next Woo Woo Wednesday because there's some religious beliefs that are holding people back, and we're going to be talking about that next week on Wednesday. Guys, send a super chat if you like this content, if you get value out of it. I see there's one in there already, but I did something. I did a thing last night. Okay, now we all know that you guys have the money to send super chats. Okay. Some of y'all are sending creators $500 super chats. Okay. And for the last few weeks, I've been saying, okay, for $20, you get some bouncing tatas. All right. So I created one last night for you guys that only want to send $10, but this video might actually be better than the $20 video. Okay. If you want to know what I'm talking about, F around and find out. Okay. So I know AJ and Mike Steele from Dragon Ship have seen it because I dropped it in the Dragon Ship chat so that those guys on the Dragon Ship could use it too. But it's glorious. It's definitely worth $10. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, if my content's not worth $10, at least that super chat video is worth $10. All right, that's we'll leave it at that right now. I'll get to the we've got Brother Nathan super chat in there. I'll get to that after the 8-minute mark, so I don't get in trouble by the YouTube police. All right, we'll just get into it though, right? So I made a list of 20 of these, and I'm gonna read it, and then we'll talk about it, and unless there's nothing to talk about. So the first one here is be clear and direct. State your message clearly and directly, avoiding vagueness or ambiguity. How many of you guys have a hard time just getting to the point? You know what I mean? When you are trying to talk to someone and you have something negative to say, but you have to say it. But so you try to, sugarcoat it. You try to, I don't know, soft launch it. I don't know what a good word is, right? But you try to pad it a little bit so it doesn't hurt their feelings. But in reality, they're going to get pissed off either way, right? So in that circumstance, a more, dominant masculine type thing would be to just be direct. Just say it. Just say it, bro. Just be direct. That was one thing that I learned too, is it's actually a more attractive trait in men is to be more direct. You know, when you're asking a woman on a date, you don't, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Right? You just say, meet, hey, you seem like a cool chick. Let's get drinks sometime. Right? That's direct. that's actually mode one. When you read Alan Roger Curry's books on mode one, it's not just getting overly sexual with chicks right away. It's being direct. It's direct communication. Hey, you seem like a cool chick. Let's get together for some drinks. When are you free to get together? That's direct, right? Well, the same way when you have to be assertive, and that is assertive, right? When you're asking a chick on a date. But if you're like, who was it? I was talking to a client last night about this, and he was talking about getting into conversations with people who walk up and ask you what your pronouns are, and you don't want to play that game. They walk up and they're like, hey, so what are your pronouns? And it basically, that what he was saying this when we were discussing it last night, was it's like almost like a declaration and a challenge of political ideology, right? So they walk up to you and they're testing you to see what your political ideology is. So what are your pronouns? And if you don't want to play that game, just say, yeah, we're not having this discussion, right? That's clear and direct. Yeah, we're not having this discussion. Right? You don't have to say anything and be offensive and all that kind of stuff. Oh hell, we've got two $10 super chats in here. We're going to get this. You guys are going to love this. I'll wait till the 8-minute mark. All right, you guys get the point, right? Being clear and direct. It's important. The next one is using I statements. This is something I learned in marriage counseling. By the way, yes, I did go to marriage counseling before my marriage ended. What you'll find is that marriage counseling is the first stop before going to the lawyers, right? Because marriage counseling doesn't work. And but one of the things that they do teach, or they at least try to teach you, is effective communication. And one of the ways is using I statements, right? So you want to express your feelings or thoughts or what's going on using I statements, such like, hey, look, I feel like this. I need this. And the reason why is because you're basically taking ownership of your message, and you also can't control what the other person's doing, So if you're like, you make me feel this way, you do this, you do this, you do this, that's an attack. But if you're like, hey, I feel this way, or I think this, you're saying, hey, like, no, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, this is what's going on in my head, and you're taking ownership of that. You're not passing the blame along. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why making I statements is sometimes helpful with that. Hey, Cliff, what's going on, man? Good morning. All right. Okay, we're at the 8-minute mark. Okay, sweet. Okay, so first let me get Brother Nathan's $2 super chat. He says, Frame Friday. That's what he meant to say anyway. I'm going to give him this.
I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Yes, he definitely does. Now, CW says, well, present it. Okay. All right. You asked for it. Here you go. Here we go. Ready? Super chat with closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest. Yeah, am I right? You guys could thank one of your beer club brothers for that one. He periodically tags me in that chick's stuff. Like, he sends me her videos on Instagram. and it's literally just all of her videos are just her and her ass everywhere. And so every once in a while, I'll do one of those like, hey, stop simping videos with that one. And so I was like, I could just go through her shish. I could go through her shit and just fucking download a bunch of them and slap them all together. So you guys get dad ass. You guys get dad ass for $10. And speaking of which, brother Ed sent one and he goes, $10, hit me, Paul, baby. All right, here you go.
Super chat, we see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
All right. That's awesome. All right, guys. The next one is maintain eye contact. Okay. Establish and maintain eye contact to show confidence and engage your listener. If you guys have been listening to the show for a long time, you know I like the left eye trick, right? The left eye trick. That works with everybody. It's not just women, okay? If you focus on someone's left eye, you actually will build a deep connection with that person, okay? So even if it's a dude, you're not going to make him like fall in love with you or anything like that, but you're going to build a lot of trust and rapport, right? So as you're looking at the camera, you want to focus on this eye, okay? Now, the concept behind it is very much like Alan Roger Curry's mode 1, where he wants you to get into the left ear zone of a woman, and that's because the left part of your, face, your left eye and your left ear connect to the right part of the brain, which is supposed to be the emotional side of the brain. If you guys want to get all esoteric, they say that left and right brain is masculine and feminine. So that right part of the brain is the feminine part of the brain, and if you make that left eye contact, you can really build a lot of rapport that way. The same way when you're trying to be assertive, you want to make eye contact. And look, even if that's not true, right? Even if that's not the case where it's like, oh, the left eye's connected to the right brain and blah, blah, blah. Even if that's complete hogwash, it at least gives you a good focal point, to focus on when you want to make that eye contact. Okay. So give it a try. You'll find, like, if you're, trying to do sales, if you're trying to, get a raise, right? You want to talk to your boss and you want to ask him for a raise. You want to do that by making good eye contact, and you want to look in that left eye. If you are doing a job interview, you want to make eye contact and look in that left eye. Okay. That's going to build that rapport and trust. And they're going to be like, I like this guy. I like the cut of this guy's jib. Right. Oh, man. All right. Then we've got speak with confidence. Use a steady, clear voice without mumbling or hesitation. Now, a really good book on this that I highly recommend is A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor. He talks about this, about having good voice control and working on voice control. We did a whole Dragon Ship episode on this a couple of weeks back, but that is important, because if you are speaking and you are sort of timid sounding, if you are nervous, it comes out in your speech a lot. Like sometimes you sort of have that loss of breath when you're trying to talk and you're sort of gasping for air. I know I've been there. Like I've been nervous when I'm talking to certain people and I'm like, right. If you guys go back and listen to, I think if you listen to my first interview with Rollo, I think I was a little bit like that, because Rollo was a big deal to me. He still is. Rollo's a big deal. he's kind of a big deal. But at least like I I'm familiar with Rolo now, so it's like it's more relaxed conversation when I'm talking to him. But when I first met him, it was intimidating. I mean, he's the godfather of the manosphere, right? When I talked to Rich Cooper, nervous as fuck, dude. Like I was super nervous, right? I tried my best to speak with confidence in that instance, but when you're talking to your heroes, it's not as easy. You know what I mean? So that's something that you can work on. That's something that you can work on. All right. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's see here. Nurse Chick's in the chat. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Frame Fridays. Whoop whoop." Yes. Thanks, babe. Nurse Chick's coming over tonight. And guys, Monday is my birthday. Monday's my birthday. So Nurse Chick said she's going to do something fancy for me. She's going to do something fancy for me. I love how she says it too, right? She sends me a text message. She goes, "If someone were to cook a certain somebody a really great home cooked meal for a special occasion, what do you think that they would want?" I'm like, how's your fried chicken? How's your fried chicken? How's your keto fried chicken? Right. Anyway, so yeah, my birthday's on Monday, guys. Monday's episode's gonna be live, and it's gonna be my birthday. Isn't that great? Okay. What are we doing? Oh, social media. Guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. And get on the email list, guys. List.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you a bunch of free stuff, including free stickers. If you're a Rule Zero fan, you get a Rule Zero sticker with it. But if, some people don't like stickers, that's cool. Just put "don't want stickers" in the address field. I won't waste a stamp on you. Don't put some fake address in there, right? And make me waste a stamp because then I'm going to be disappointed. Okay. I'm not going to be mad, be disappointed. But you also get 20 dating app openers that are guaranteed to capture a woman's attention in the first 7 words. That is important because what a lot of guys do is they say, "Hey, what you doing? Hey, how's your day going? Whatever. You look like trouble." Any kind of boring thing. Well, the thing is, you got massive competition. You got massive competition on dating apps. A lot of guys complain about it. But if you go to a bar, you'll find that it's about accurate at a bar too, right? You go to a big bar, there's probably 80% dudes in there and 20% chicks, and all the dudes are trying to get all the chicks' attention. And you got competition. That's just how it is, right? So on dating apps, you have competition, and if you don't have a good opener that's going to capture her attention, you're just going to get lost in the sauce, right? Women, like, they're not trying to make a connection with every guy that matches with them on dating apps. They are getting all the matches. They probably have an 80 to 90% match rate on dating apps. An 80 to 90% match rate, especially if they're relatively attractive. I had Morgan May on years ago. Morgan May has been on my podcast more than any other dude on this show. Morgan pointed out to me that I think it was like the 3rd year in. She's like, "I've been on 3% of your episodes," or something like that. It was like, oh, that's interesting, because it's like sort of start off as a 3% man show. And anyway, one of the things I asked her, I said, "Let me get, like, you probably get like a 99% match rate." She goes, "Oh yeah. Yeah." She goes, "Every guy I swipe right on has already swiped right on me every time." And it's like, because she's a hot chick, right? So that's what happens. That's women's experience on dating apps. They're matching with everybody because, they don't even have to try. So then what they're doing is they're trying to filter out all their options by just looking at your openers in the preview pane. And if you just say something lame, they're just going to go, "I'm not talking to that guy." Right. And then you're like, "I don't understand what's going on." So you have to have something clever to say. Well, these openers can help you with that. But I'll tell you what, if you read the entire PDF and you don't just skip to the end where there's a list of openers, you'll see why having canned openers is not the best idea, because you're going to get reliant on it. It's going to become a crutch, and then you're not going to know what the fuck to say. So what's better is learning why these work and then trying to create your own. You understand? And also, don't send an opener if you don't have a plan. Because some guys I'm coaching like to send these openers, and then when the chicks reply to them, they're like, "What do I say?" I'm like, "Why did you send that opener in the first place if you didn't have a fucking plan?" You know, you got to sort of anticipate what they might reply back with, and then have a plan going forward of how you're going to segue into a real conversation. You know what I mean? So it can help you, but you still got to learn how to talk to chicks. Okay. You know what can help with that? My book. Okay. Everything I wish I knew when I was 18. When you sign up for the email list, you get a free chapter of my book. But the longest chapter in my book is on dating and spinning plates. And it talks about all this kind of stuff, right? How to be more attractive, how to talk to women, how to banter, how to have success on dating apps, all that kind of stuff. And then what do we got here? Guys, you can work with me one-on-one, right? If you need help with any of that kind of stuff, if you need help with your frame, if you need help being more assertive, if you need help with the dating apps and all that kind of stuff, if you need help with your mental state, I am a certified master life coach. I am a certified NLP practitioner. I can help you with all sorts of stuff, including nice guy syndrome. And a lot of nice guys, they have a problem with frame and being assertive. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic at hand today. Do you ever feel like you're stuck trying to please everyone, yet you're not getting the respect or the success that you deserve? You're not alone. Many men suffer from what's known as nice guy syndrome, hiding their true selves in a quest for acceptance and approval. But what if you could break free from this cycle? What if you could be assertive, confident, and truly successful in your relationships, career, and life? Hi, I'm Paul Bauer, a certified master life coach and certified master NLP practitioner. I've helped countless men overcome nice guy syndrome by guiding them to discover their authentic selves and embrace their true potential. Through personalized coaching and powerful NLP techniques, I can help you unlock the confidence and assertiveness you need to thrive. Transform your life today. Become the man you were always meant to be. Confident, successful, direct, and true to yourself. Ready to take the first step towards a better you? Contact me today and let's work together to break free from the limitations of nice guy syndrome. Visit coaching.comeonmanpod.com to book a call with me right now. Take control of your life and start experiencing the success that you deserve. Brother CW says, so either $10 asses or $20 titties. Best episode ever. Yes, that's right. Yes, right. If you send a $20 super chat, you get bouncing titties. If you send a $10 super chat, you get an ass that jiggles in all the right places. Okay, that's that's how that works. Oh, I've got Outlook open. I just heard a ding from Outlook. Let's close that down. Okay. It's so funny. Like, guys are so ready to spend money on a super chat for tits and ass, but when it's like actionable information, they're like, I'm not going to send a super chat for this, but I am going to take notes. All right, fine. All right. The next one here I have is stand or sit up straight. Okay. So basically have good posture, right? Maintain an open and upright posture to convey confidence and assertiveness. A lot of guys don't realize how important body language is and understanding good body language. Right. And what confident body language looks like. A lot of guys have their shoulders sort of hunched forward. They're sort of, or they're like this and they're closed off, you know, all this kind of stuff, this kind of thing, you know, kind of when you're trying to talk makes you look like you're not assertive in what you're going to say. Right. It makes you seem like you're not confident. If you're like that on a date, if you're like, you know, holding your hand, doing this kind of stuff, right? You look nervous as fuck. No one's going to take you seriously. No one's going to take you seriously, right? But if you have relaxed body language, but you have good posture, your shoulders are back, your chest is out, you taking up a lot of space, right? Taking up a lot of space is very alpha body language. People respect that. They respect that. They notice it. It's sub-communication, you know, especially women. When you're talking to women really pick up on body language. Men, not so much. In the book Atomic Attraction, that really explains what good body language is. That's a great book on that. That has a lot of information on body language. One of the things that they talk about in that is there was a study that was done where they had men and women watching a video with the sound off, right? And something like 70% of women were able to know exactly what was happening on the video based purely on the body language of the people in the video. They knew exactly what was going on, right? That's a pretty high amount, 70%. And then only like 5 or 10% of dudes like could kind of guess what was going on in the video, but most guys had no clue what was going on in the video because most guys don't pay attention to body language, you know. They don't pay attention to it actively, but women do. So it's good to learn that, right? Stand up straight, sit up straight, have good posture. That's all a part of good confident body language, right? Practice active listening. Most people don't do this, right? So it says here, listen attentively and acknowledge the other person's viewpoint, showing respect while maintaining your own position. So active listening is a skill. It's a skill. Most people don't do this. Most people say what they're going to say, and then they're just trying to think of the next thing they're going to say. They're not even listening to the other person. You know, I was having this conversation with a client last night too, because he was talking about how he doesn't think he's that interesting when he's talking to people, and I was like, well, to be honest, to be an effective communicator, it's more about listening anyway. You know, being a good listener, you only want to be doing about 20% of the talking anyway. You want to let them talk. You want to ask them questions. You want to talk about them. You want to focus on them. They are their favorite subject. You want to throw their name in there periodically. You want to repeat back what they're saying so that they know that you're actively listening, that sort of thing. It's a skill. It's a skill, and you actually have to focus on it. And and one of the things he's saying, he's like, yeah, but like what other people say half the time is mind-numbingly boring. Like, yeah, I get it. I get it. But it's a skill, and you got to just focus on it. You got to try to actively take a genuine interest in what they're saying and make a game out of it. That's what I did, because I am fucking terrible. All my previous relationships, before I started learning this stuff, this was one of the things that I would get most complaints about, was not listening, right? So I had girlfriends, my wife was like this, where they would be talking to me and explaining to me and telling me a story, and I didn't give a fuck what they were saying, and my mind was wandering about whatever. I was worried about my job. I was worried about making appointments. I was just like, and they could eventually tell that you're not really listening. So they're like, what did I just say? And I'm like, huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about this other thing. Can you repeat that? And then that would piss them off, right? I was like, yeah, of course that would piss them off. It's fucking rude. So one thing that I try to do now when someone's talking to me is I try to force myself back in the present, and I actively try to listen for things that they're saying. And I try to repeat back things that they're saying, and I try to engage with them about what they're saying. And if I can't do that because I'm too busy focusing on work, I'll just tell them. I'll be assertive and I'll say, hey, look, I really want to focus on this conversation, but I can't. I'm right in the middle of this thing. Can you just give me like 10 minutes so I can finish this up? And then I can give all my attention to you. Right. And that's okay to say. It's okay to do that. But what we try to do is we try to please everybody because we're nice guys, so we're trying to focus on this and do this at the same. You can't fucking do that. You can't. There's really no such thing as multitasking. You can only do one thing at a time. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a woman, because women are like, oh, no, women are good at multitasking. No, they're not. You can only do one thing at a time. So you gotta force yourself in the present and focus on what they're saying. Online Money says, how can you listen of an hour of conversation? Like, are you saying how can you listen for an hour of conversation? Well, here's the thing, Online Money, especially if you're talking to women love to talk. So you just got to get the ball rolling. They'll do all the heavy lifting. And you just have to force yourself, man. That's all. Yeah, you just got to force yourself. You're like, I don't want to talk for a whole hour. Like, look, say something for 5 minutes and then let's fuck. And then let's stop talking. You're like, like, that's unrealistic, bro. That's unrealistic. All right. The next one is setting boundaries. Clearly define your limits and communicate them respectfully but firmly. That's another problem that a lot of nice guys have, is we don't set boundaries. We don't have boundaries. A good way to communicate boundaries, especially with women, is a lot of guys, like, they watch stuff like Fresh and Fit, and it's like, you tell women, you tell a bitch, right? You tell a bitch, like, you can't go out and talk to other men, you can't have social media, you can't do this, right? That's one way of doing it. I don't know how effective that is, though, right? Because that comes across as overbearing and controlling. But if one of your boundaries is you don't date women that have public Instagram accounts where they're shaking their ass, like, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, send a $10 super chat and find out what I'm talking about. Wink. Because $10 $10 gets you that ass. But if you don't date girls that do that, that's how you say it. You're like, you can do that if you want, but I don't date girls that do that. Because that's using the I statement. It's about you, and they have a choice to make. They could either stay with you or they can have the Instagram account, but the choice is on them. You're not being controlling. You understand? But that's still how you set a boundary. Hey, I don't date girls that do this. Make your choice. Make your choice, Susan. So that's a good way of doing that. A really great book on setting effective boundaries and assertive communication is When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. Can't say that enough. Mike says, you don't. The one who makes ultimatums has no power. Yeah. Rolo says that an ultimatum is a declaration of powerlessness, right? So at some point you just got to enforce that boundary by removing your time and attention. And that's how you enforce boundaries with women, because attention is the coin of the realm in girl world. Also, shout out to Rolo Tomasi. Okay. Be open to feedback. Be open to feedback. Accept feedback without defensiveness, showing that you value others' opinions while standing by your own. Feedback is good. Feedback is good. I have this guy that works for me, and he's being, he's got an awesome opportunity here. He's got a really fucking awesome opportunity. We have a guy who's leaving. He's leaving his current position. He's going to leave at the end of the month. And so this guy is going to become the guy. He's going to be the go-to guy because he's the next in line that knows the most, right? But up until now, everyone goes to this other guy because this other guy fucking knows everything, right? And this other guy, he's relatively new to this position, so he's not expert yet, right? Well, the thing is when he messes up, right, which is fine, and I try to tell my guys, like, hey, it's okay to mess up. It's okay. It's okay to mess up. You just got to make sure we fix it, right? Because when you mess up, you break something, especially in IT, right? If you break something, sometimes that's the best way to learn, right? I one time in IT, I've broken so much shit in my career, but you know what? I'm an awesome systems engineer now, right? Like there ain't nothing I can't fucking fix, right? I'm an IT fucking god. Paul, that's pretty arrogant of you. I know, but I own it. But that's because early in my career, I broke a lot of fucking shit, right? I broke a lot of shit. And when I broke it, I took accountability for it. And then I turned around and fixed it. You know what I mean? Well, I one time took down an Exchange server for my company in the middle of the night. I was just doing like random maintenance. At this company, we didn't have like an official sort of cab process to doing anything. So we could literally just do whatever the fuck we wanted as long as it was after hours and people weren't touching it. And I decided I was going to fuck around, and because I was learning about Microsoft Exchange, and I fucked around and I fucked up that Exchange server so bad it was not coming up. It was not coming back up, and I was like, holy shit. Oh my God, I broke the email server. You guys don't even understand. Email is like paramount in a company. You can't have an email server not working in the middle of the workday. Well, this was in the middle of the night, and I was like, holy shit, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? And I was Googling, I was looking up errors. I was doing all this kind of stuff to try to fix it. And I was up probably until like 4 a.m. I finally got that motherfucker back up, right? I finally got that motherfucker back up, but I was up all night because I was like, I broke it. I can't just leave this, right? And there's some guys out there that will break something and they go, well, I'm going to lunch now. You can't just fucking go to lunch when you just broke like a major system that people are using in the middle of the workday. You can't just fucking go to lunch. What are you talking about? So anyway, I was up all fucking night trying to fix this thing, and I finally fixed it, right? But I also learned a lot in the process, and thank God I got it back up in the morning, or I probably would have been fired for fucking around on that in the middle of the night. I did a lot of that kind of stuff in my early days of IT when I didn't know any better. Now I know better. I'm a little more cautious about the changes I make and stuff like that. But anyway, so I got this guy. Long story. I got this guy who he's in a new position, but when he fucks up and you say, hey man, this is broken, like you messed up here, like how are you going to fix it? I'm not attacking you. I'm saying this needs to get fixed, right? Well, he gets really fucking defensive and then starts making up all these excuses, and he starts, well, they never told me this and da 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 da. And I'm like, hey, that's not what I'm asking you, man. Like, it's okay that you broke it. It's okay that you didn't know, but we got to fix it now. You understand? So be open to feedback because that's feedback. Like, hey, man, what could you have done better? What do you think you could have done better? Right. So this other day, the dev team asked him to make a change in a web config. And so he makes the change in the web config and says, okay, hey, well, give it a test. I'm going to go to lunch. So he fucking just left. The whole thing was broken. The whole entire website was down for like while he was out at lunch. And like the dev guys also were like, oh, we'll check it when we get back from lunch. So they were all gone. Right. Like everybody fucked up here. And next thing I know, I get the dev, director calling me because I'm the fucking DevOps director. And he's like, hey, man, this website. I'm like, what? So I'm calling this guy himself. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And he's like, well, they were supposed to test it. I'm like, dude, before you go to lunch, just check to see if the website's up, for fuck's sakes. Anyway, he starts getting all defensive about it. Like, dude, take some accountability here. Take some accountability here. You made the change. You need to make sure the website's up before you go to lunch. Like, it's okay that you broke it, but you also need to be able to like, oh shit, I broke something. Like maybe I should revert the change. Right. And then I told him, this is what I would do if I'm going to edit a web config. So I showed him, I go, hey man, don't be so defensive about it. Okay. This is a learning experience. I go, if I'm going to make a change like this to a web config, I'm going to right click on that web config. I'm going to say copy, and I'm going to hit paste. That's going to create a copy of that web config right there. And then when I fuck up the website and everything comes down, I go, oh shit, I delete that version. I just rename this copy back to the original name of the file, and I restart IIS. The website's back up. It's like that, right? Now you know. And knowing's half the battle. Mike Farrell with a $20 super chat. Oh my God, for the laptop fund. Well, it's a hard drive. This will help replace that hard drive. You get this for $20. Guys, remember, $10 super chats. There's a new video for $10 super chats, but for $20, this is what you get.
Thank you for the super chats. We'll be bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Random maintenance equals money laundering. That's funny. Okay, so that last one was open to feedback. Guys, join Beer Club. Beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a good group of dudes. Good place to get together with other like-minded dudes and talk about guys stuff. if you need help leveling up in there, it's a good place to ask questions. It's a good place to talk about like what's going on in your life. The other guys are really good about crowdsourcing and coming in there and talking about things that, you know, that are going on with you and giving you solutions to things, because guys solve problems, right? Women cause problems. We also have monthly hangouts. Our next hangout is next week on Thursday on the 15th. So what I recommend is on Monday, sign up for Beer Club, sign up for the free trial, okay? And then show up for the hangout there on Thursday. See if it's right for you. It's not right for everybody. Some guys, you know, are introverts and they just can't shake it, and they don't want to hang out with a bunch of other dudes, and they're like, I'm not doing this, and they leave. Okay, well, okay, but then there's other guys in there that are really taking advantage of this. We have one guy in there that hasn't had an insulin shot in 6 weeks because he's lost so much weight that he doesn't need it anymore. He's basically beaten type 2 diabetes. That's fucking amazing, right? We have another guy in there that's, I think he's gotten down to below, actually, both these guys are below 200 pounds now. They're all in the 100s now. Like, that's amazing, because a lot of these guys, like the guy who beat type 2 diabetes, he's under 200 pounds now. He says he hadn't been there since like his early days of college, you know, like that's crazy. That's amazing. So we're just, you know, we're just over here changing lives. It's only $10 a month. Hold on. I like to have this up. Boop. There you go. Okay. All right, the next one is use positive body language. This sort of goes back to stand up and sit up straight, right? But you want to employ, because that's body language too. But you want to employ gestures and facial expressions that reinforce your verbal message, such as nodding or leaning slightly forward. When you're leaning forward, this is a catch-22, right? Like, when you're leaning forward, it's showing that you're taking an interest in what they're saying, right? You're basically showing that you're an active listener. When you're on a date, you kind of want a girl to lean more into you, right? So a good way to do that is occasionally lean forward, right? Listen to what she's saying and then pull back, okay? And what you'll find is when you do that, it's almost like hooking them and then reeling them in. But you want a woman like leaning into you and taking a genuine interest in you, right? So that's like on a date, you want to do that. But when you're trying to be an effective communicator for other things, you occasionally do want to lean forward a little bit and show that you're being attentive and listening to what they're having to say, right? And then also, you know, positive facial expressions shows that you're not upset. You're not upset about the situation. You're having a calm conversation about it. You're not putting people on the defensive. It's a good way of doing it, I suppose. Avoid apologizing unnecessarily. Okay. I did a whole episode about this. We apologize for no fucking reason. I had a guy on YouTube, I think just yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. He left a comment. It was on a clip that I made from years ago. This is from my first interview with Rollo, where I asked Rollo like why he doesn't like Corey Wayne, right? Because at that time I was like the show was basically a 3% man show, right? It was we were all students of Corey Wayne, and so right before that interview, Rollo literally had one of his long live streams, and in that episode he was talking why he thinks Corey's wrong, and I can't remember what exactly he said about Corey, but he's not a fan of Corey, right? And so I had to ask him about it, and so I said, hey man, like what's your problem with Corey? And so Rollo talked about like why he didn't like Corey. So I clipped that, and that's on YouTube, and somebody commented on it yesterday saying, Corey's the man, sorry. And I was just like, why are you apologizing? Like, it's okay to have your opinion. I don't disagree. I learned a lot from Corey Wayne. So like, I don't disagree with you. There's no reason to put sorry on there. Anyway, we apologize unnecessarily, right? So you only need to apologize when you've actually wronged someone. Otherwise, don't fucking do it. It makes you look weak as fuck. So it says here, only apologize when it's appropriate. Avoid over apologizing or apologizing for expressing your needs, right? Like, I need this done. I'm sorry, but I need this done. It's a weaker way of saying it, right? There's no, people don't respect that. But if you're like, I need this done, you see, it's got a different impact there. Be prepared to say no. Right? Practice saying no assertively and without guilt when necessary. That, again, going back to a good book on this, when I say no, I feel guilty. What's really good about that book is it starts with what he calls an assertive bill of rights. And he just gives you a lot of things that says you have the right to this. You have a right to get your needs met. You have a right to blah, 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 right? And the last one is you have a right to say no without feeling guilty. But the problem is you'll find that the reason why you feel guilty when you're saying no to people is because you've been conditioned like this your whole life through verbal manipulation, largely from our mothers. When I read that book, every example of verbal manipulation that he says people use, I was like, that's exactly what my mom's, that's how my mom talks. My mom is just one big verbal manipulator and makes you feel guilty for every fucking thing you do, And so that's why you end up feeling guilty when you say no to people. It's like shit like that. So you have to learn that it's okay to say no. You have to learn that no is a perfectly acceptable answer to a question. Especially if you don't want to do something, they're asking you to go to a party that I don't like anybody there. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pass. Right. Sometimes it's hard. It's still hard. Online Money asks, how do you deal with the phrase, if a man loves me, he'll move mountains, or if a man loves you, he'll move mountains for you. So women expect a man to fix everything. How would you deal with the phrase Online Money? Like, I mean, if a man, I don't get that phrase a lot in my normal everyday conversation, but isn't that an accurate statement? He does love a woman. Like, he will do a lot of things for her, she's got to earn that shit. She's got to earn that shit. Mike Steele says, remember, guys, if you're apologizing and you haven't done anything wrong, you're lying. That's right. You're a fucking liar. Yeah. Well, then she better move her ass for me. Yeah, I would agree with Mike on that, right? She's got to earn that kind of treatment. So a woman that puts in a lot of investment in you and that will move mountains for you, that's the kind of woman you would move mountains for. Like, women don't just deserve that for showing up with tits and a nice ass. Guys, if you want to see that nice ass again, remember $10 super chat. All right. Paul, we're prepared to say no on that one. All right, fine. If you don't want to see ass, that's on you. That's on you, man. See, that's manipulative communication. Manage your emotions. Keep your emotions in check to avoid letting them dictate your responses. That's the hard thing for a lot of men. A lot of guys don't realize that, A lot of blue pill people say, no, men need to be able to express their emotions unless it's anger, right? Like, if a man's angry, all of a sudden that's bad. That's a bad emotion, right? If in that case, you need to control your emotions, sir. Right. But if it's of a man crying, oh no, he should be able to do that. He should be able to do this. Like, no. Like, you guys have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And so then they're like, oh, well, guys in the red pill, they're telling men to suppress their emotions. That's not what we're saying at all. We say there's a time and a place for it, and you'll find that a lot of the times when you lash out in anger, when you do that kind of stuff, you're not responding, you're reacting. You're reacting out of emotions. Your emotions are controlling you. You're not controlling your emotions. So it is a skill of a dominant masculine presence. Shout out again to RP Thor, to be able to manage your emotions and keep them in check in the moment so that you are responding, right? You're not reacting, you're responding to stuff. So when people say stuff that will trigger you, and yes, you do get triggered. It's not just a liberal word. When someone says something that triggers you, that makes you feel angry, and you want to lash out at them, and maybe throw an insult back, or check a bitch or whatever, you just need to take like a second to think about your response, and then respond in a logical fashion. So if someone says an insult to you, and you're in a conversation where you're trying to be assertive, a good way of doing that is, with fogging, with negative assertion. You can do stuff like, it's almost like agree and amplify, that's fogging. And then if you and then be a broken record, right? So someone throws an insult at you, but you're trying to be assertive and get your needs met. Like a good example from When I Say No, I Feel Guilty is a guy who goes back to the supermarket and he wants a refund for like his meat, like he gets sold bad meat or something. I can't remember the exact thing, but he goes there and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we can't give you a refund for this." And he's like, "Well, who can give me a refund for this?" And he's just assertive with that, right? Well, who can? Well, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to go in the back and talk to the meat manager. Can you call him up here? And they're like, we're not gonna call him up here. You need to go talk to him. You guys sold me this bad meat. That's on you. You need to call him up here if he's the guy I need to talk to. Are you going to call him up here? Right? That's an example of being assertive without losing your cool, But a lot of people lose their cool and just be like, fine, fuck it, right? Or they'll leave. And a lot of times that's what they're hoping you'll do, right? They'll just keep pushing back on you and hope that you'll leave and say, "Oh yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to," they're trying to be assertive too, right? So you've got to manage your emotions. They might even throw an insult at you. They're like, "You're a really terrible customer. We don't want to deal with you anymore." And just be like, "Well, I can understand your frustration with that, but you guys did sell me this bad meat. I want my refund. You either give it to me or call the meat manager up here to give it to me. But I'm not leaving here without you giving me my refund." You see what I'm saying? But if you manage your emotions through that and you can stay calm and cool, you're more likely to get what your needs met that way. It says, be assertive, not aggressive. Because a lot of people, they get that, they have that misunderstanding. They think that being assertive means being aggressive. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be confrontational. You don't have to be like, "Look, if you don't give this to me, I'm going to fucking deck you," and stuff like that. You don't need to do that. You just need to communicate your needs and opinions respectfully without attacking people, without threats, without belittling them. Right? You don't have to do all that stuff to get your needs met and to be assertive. You just need to be direct, tell them what your needs are, and then just stay on topic. Just stay on topic. We have here, ask for what you need. Clearly articulate your needs or requests and be specific about what you're asking for. So going again, like asking for your money back on the bad meat. That's very clear. You sold me bad meat. I would like my money back. Right? And that's more of a statement, right? I would like my money back. You're not asking them, you're telling them. That's more of a way of asking them for what you need, but being more direct, I think. Right? Use concise language, avoid over explaining or providing excessive detail, be succinct and to the point. So like less is more with that. You don't need to tell them like all the reasons why bad meats are bad for you. Like everyone knows bad meat will get you sick and stuff like that. You don't have to over explain that shit. Just be like, "This meat is bad. You sold me bad meat. I want my money back." All right. Less is more. Concise language. Stay calm under pressure. That goes back to manage your emotions, right? Maintain composure, even in challenging situations, focusing on the message rather than getting flustered. That's difficult. That's difficult for men. That's so fucking difficult, dude. That is a skill that you have to practice and you have to actually be really focused and aware in the moment. And you have to notice when your emotions are about to take over and you have to take a deep breath and actually take a step back and think about what you're going to say, you know, which leads to the next one, which is practice self-awareness. So you need to understand your own communication style and how it affects others and adjust as needed to be more effective. A lot of people aren't aware of how their communication comes off. They don't understand how offensive they can come across sometimes. They don't understand that their natural instinct, and they probably learned this growing up from like their parents or their siblings and stuff like that. But a lot of people, when they get into a confrontation like this, like their first instinct is to lash out with insults or something like that. My ex-wife was like that. That kind of thing is a red flag. If when you're arguing with somebody and their natural instinct is to hurl an insult at you and cut you down, that like if you, that's someone that you don't want to be spending a lot of time with, you know, if you can avoid it. And I didn't learn that because, you know, a lot of us, when you're blue pilled, you sort of just overlook red flags like that. But that was her natural instinct, was as soon as she felt confronted, as soon as an argument was happening, her natural instinct was to start insulting, you know, and that's a very toxic trait. So if you're that kind of guy, if you find that you naturally do that, if you're getting into arguments because you're trying to get your needs met, but you're just not, and so then you start resulting to name calling and belittling people and all that kind of stuff, you need to work on that. You need to catch yourself when you get the inkling to do that. That's why it's good to sometimes take a step back and just take a pause for a minute and think about what you're going to say. Because if your instinct is to say something insulting, people are less likely going to, you know, do what you need if you're insulting them. Why would they want to help you out when you're insulting them? You understand? So that's, you know, you got to be a self-aware of that sort of thing. Use assertive questions. So ask questions that invite collaboration and clarification rather than demanding answers. When I say no, I feel guilty, he uses a lot of sort of, I think that's negative inquiry. He calls it negative inquiry, where you sort of invite them to sort of step into your shoes and you ask them questions, you know, if I'm getting that one right, but yeah, that's a good way of doing that. If you can ask them questions where like almost like a Socratic method, where you sort of get them to come around to your idea, like leading questions, that's a good way of doing it, I would suppose. Respect others' opinions. Acknowledge and respect differing viewpoints, even while maintaining your own stance. I think this is good, especially when talking about religion. One thing I've noticed, right? So with Woo Woo Wednesdays is I often get a lot of people in the comments that are like really, you know, devout Christian that don't like what I'm saying. And because it goes against whatever their personal doctrine is or whatever. And that's fine. Like I respect pretty much everyone's religions. What I don't respect is when they attack me and they tell me I should believe the way they believe, you know, because it's like, okay, okay, now, pal, come on now, you know? So I try to respect other people's opinions. We had a discussion about this last night in beer club. We were going back and forth because someone in the comments made a comment about I think it was the NIV Bible thing, and we were talking about it in beer club. And one of the guys in beer club, he's a Christian, but he's quarter Jewish, and so he likes to actually read a version of the Bible that's written in Hebrew, which he finds to be, he thinks, more accurate because, you know, it's a little bit closer to the original language used, you know, when writing. But a lot of the modern Bibles, right? The King James version came out in 1611. It's an English translation from a Greek translation, which was a mistranslation to begin with, you know. And then a lot of the modern Bibles, like the NIV version, are translations of the King James Bible into modern English. So it's like a translation of a translation of a translation. Like a lot of the stuff is sort of gets watered down. So he prefers this Hebrew version. Cool. All right. Like, I respect that. I respect that. So we didn't get an argument about like whether that's accurate or not, because like he respected my opinion on these other ones, and I respected his opinion on that. We had a good conversation about it. Like, it's okay, like you'll actually catch more flies with honey than with vinegar half the time. But if you attack someone's, beliefs like that in a conversation like that, that's going to go nowhere. That's a conversation that's going to go nowhere. And then finally, we have rehearse difficult conversations. Prepare and practice what you want to say in advance, especially for challenging or high stakes conversations. This is a good thing to do. I'm listening to You Were Born Rich, and one of the things that Bob Proctor recommends, like if you're in sales, is to rehearse, especially when when you have a sales pitch and you're not very good at your sales pitch. He says practice having a sales pitch, but rehearse it, right? Rehearse it as if you're always get the sale. Rehearse it as if you always get the sale. And he goes, if you do that enough, eventually you'll find that you're going to get really good at the pitch and you're going to start seeing dramatic results, right? Well, the same thing goes when you're going to have difficult conversations, like you need to ask for a raise, if you need to take your meat back and get your refund, right? If it's that important to you. But if you know that it's going to be a challenging conversation, it's good to sort of rehearse what you're going to say going into it. That way you sort of take that edge off because you've practiced it a little bit. You've practiced it, right? It might not go exactly how you plan, but it'll at least take away that anxiety because you've practiced it. A lot of this whole being assertive and trying to get your needs met and being direct and that kind of stuff, like especially for nice guys, gives them anxiety. It gives them a lot of anxiety thinking about it because it's not natural to them to be assertive and to get their needs met. And so they'll get all this anxiety. So a good way is to rehearse that, right? Just practice it out, practice what you're going to say, sort of develop a script and memorize it and work it through. And then you'll alleviate some of that anxiety. It's the whole concept of thinking causes anxiety, but action cures it. Well, rehearsing is taking an action, right? Mike says, take your meat back, Paul's version of pulling out. Yeah. You can catch flies with shit too, I suppose. Yes. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's what I got, guys. That was 20 ways to be more assertive in your communication. I hope that helps. Tune in to Rule 0 tomorrow. I was going to host, but Fitch said he wanted to do it. He just did an epic road trip with his family and wants to talk about how you need to get out of your house and live a little and how the internet's fake. So I was like, yeah, well, if you want to do it, you're more than welcome to it. So I asked him last night, I was like, just to clarify, you are hosting, right? So there is a slight chance I might host tomorrow too. We'll see. If he's like, no, you can take it. I'll just take it and own it. But if he takes it, then that's probably what the topic is going to be. Tune into the Dragon Ship right after Rule 0. Laurent is hosting. I believe he wants to talk about financial literacy. So tune into that if you want to get better with your money. Tune into the podcast Monday. It's Mating Monday. I will be talking about the concept of the razor's edge. Have any of you guys ever heard of the razor's edge concept? It's something I'm reading about in You Were Born Rich. Now, what Bob Proctor is talking about in the book is how it's the difference between winning and losing in all sorts of areas of your life, right? But the way he's equating that is business, So like a good example of the razor's edge difference in business is when I worked at Safeway when I was in high school. Safeway and King Soopers and Kroger and Albertsons and, like Cub Foods and all, like whatever other supermarket chains are out there, all their prices are relatively the same. But the difference is your experience when you go there, right? So one of the things that they would beat into us when I worked at Safeway was customer service, right? If you're out sweeping the aisles and someone says, hey, where's the mustard at? You don't say, oh, it's over on aisle 2 and then go back to sweeping. You say, oh, let me show you where the mustard is. And you walk them over to the mustard and you show them the mustard and you go, yeah, we have all sorts of different kinds here. What kind are you looking for? And you try to give them an experience, right? if they say, hey, they stop you and they go, what's the difference between these two cookies? You know, you go, well, let's open up and find out. Right? You give them free cookies right there, because the cost of a $4 box of cookies for Safeway to retain a customer that it's going to keep coming back because they enjoyed the experience is well worth $4, you know? So they're like, yeah, just fucking do it. Just do it. And then come bring it back to the front desk and write up that it was a sample, you know, like you just have to document it or something. It's no big deal. But that kind of stuff, offering to take people out to their cars and walk them out and put their bags in the back of the car. That was all an experience to give to customers so that they felt better coming to the store. Don't fucking matter that much, right? But that's the razor's edge difference, right? Giving that slight little bit of extra is what makes them want to come back more and will help that company do better. So that's one of the things that he's talking about in the razor's edge. Well, I was like, you know what? That's literally the difference between someone that does good on dating apps and someone that can't fucking, you know, that can't get a date on dating apps and they think that dating apps suck and it's, you know, all dating apps are fucking worthless and all this kind of stuff, is because the guys that are getting laid are putting in just a little bit of effort, right? It's a razor's edge difference. It's probably a 4% difference of a, you know, that they're putting in that's getting them results and you're not, right? It's like just taking better pictures, right? That's a razor's edge difference on dating apps that will get you more dates. But most guys are like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take better pictures. If they don't like me for me, then it's like, okay, you don't understand the razor's edge and you don't want to win, you know? So we're going to talk about that on Monday, the razor's edge difference when it comes to dating and relationships that will make you stand apart from the rest of your competition. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. And then also I mentioned earlier, but Monday is my birthday. So it'll also be a birthday celebration episode. All right. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Remember, $10 super chat will get you that booty shake. Okay. But if you don't want to see more booty, we'll just close out here, guys. Like, subscribe, hit those notifications if you haven't done so already. Thanks for everyone that sounded off in the live chat. I appreciate you. That helps boost us in the algorithm and you know, sends more guys our way that we're going to help them out. If you guys are watching the replay, drop a comment below too. Any comment will do. Favorite emoji, doesn't matter. Thanks for the super chats, guys. That's all going to the replacement of the hard drive fund from a couple of weeks ago. So thank you for that. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list. I'll send you a bunch of free stuff, including 20 dating app openers that will give you that razor's edge, right? If you use it right. And then you also get a free chapter of my book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, which is a real book, guys. It's not one of those 60 grifter pamphlets. It's a real book. Okay. You can get it on hardcover, paperback. You can get it on Audible if you prefer audiobooks. You can also get it on Kindle. All right. Use your next Kindle Unlimited subscription credit on it, or use your next Audible credit on it. Okay. RP Thor did the narration for me. If you guys want to join a group of like-minded men and talk about guy stuff and swap notes, Beer Club's the place to do it. It's only $10 a month. We have our next meetup next week on Thursday. And then if you guys want to work with me directly, you can go to coaching.comeonmanpod.com and book a call with me there. I am a certified master life coach. I am a certified master NLP practitioner. There's lots of things I can help you with in life. So check that out. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow on Rule Zero.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.